You think they should draft 2 quarterbacks this year? They already moved up to get the number 1 pick, but they already have Andy Dalton under contract. Matt Corral's under contract, so they already have 2 backup quarterbacks to whomever this number 1 pick's going to be. You want them to draft 2 quarterbacks this year? Am I right on that? Am I right?
Yes. You're absolutely correct.
I need you to explain yourself.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you don't think that they should waste their draft capital on it because they have other holes to fill, and you're right. And I think that they filled a lot of those holes already through free agency. And guess what? Free agency isn't over.
I know that.
The big splash. They've already made the big splash signings. You got Deshaun Williams. You've got Shy Tuttle. You got Von Bell. You've got Miles Sanders. You got Hayden Hurst.
So why are we drafting 2 quarterbacks?
And you have a couple of offensive linemen that you've already signed as well, along with bringing Bradley Bozeman back. And I think right now you've already, filled in a lot of holes with guys who have star potential. Then you also have the rest of free agency to bring in other guys who are out there and available who can come in and be good backups and give you a few snaps.
Okay.
All right. And let's not forget, there's also the undrafted free agent market. So there's all kinds of opportunities to bring people in to make sure that you have folks in there that are good. Clearly, Matt Corral's not their guy. Matt Corral's still on the roster. There's a chance that he could be traded. Maybe you could get another pick for Matt Corral. Get him for like a 4th or a 5th round pick. Maybe.
Yeah, I ain't giving up a 4th. I'll give you a bag of Red Delicious apples.
Whatever. Get something for them. But also, I think that one of the things that the Washington football team, they weren't known as that at the time, did very good was the fact that they got 2 quarterbacks back in the day. They had RG3, they got Kirk Cousins. If they didn't have such a bad training staff that messed up RG3 and helped him to not have an elongated career, he should still be playing right now. And if they knew how to handle their quarterback situations, they would have had a great quarterback situation right now instead of looking for answers with Sam Howell. Nothing against Sam Howell. But I think with the setup that you have right now with the Carolina Panthers, with also the uncertainty that we've had around quarterbacks for the last 3 years, also with injuries that could potentially happen, right? Are you very comfortable if whatever rookie CJ Stroud or Bryce comes in, and are you comfortable with the fact that if they get injured that Andy Dalton's going to be one starting for you? Or would you like to have somebody else there that has some upside and some ability and some teachability that could help you out in a franchise? And I think that is there if Hendon Hooker is still there and he's able to get over his ACL tear. Why not have 2 people there? And we talked about how comfortable it's going to be for whomever is chosen at number 1 for the Carolina Panthers. All the former quarterbacks on the staff, all the great offensive things that are in place, plus the great weapons that they're starting to acquire and that offensive line. Don't make it too comfortable for them. Have somebody that can push them right behind them. Somebody like Hendon Hooker that can give them, that is big in size, mobile. We talked about it before. CJ Stroud is big and mobile. Hendon Hooker, big and mobile. Give him somebody that is maybe not as good, but somewhat comparable that could be there right there behind him. Bring in Hendon Hooker on certain special packages as well. But have that person there that's for him so they can push each other to become better. Maybe Hendon Hooker's not on the roster in a couple years. But you know what I like that the Ravens have? They have Tyler Huntley, who's not exactly like Lamar Jackson, but can run that offense really well if Lamar Jackson's not there. That's what the Carolina Panthers need. I'm not comfortable with Andy Dalton being that person for a long stretch of time. They need their Tyler Huntley, and they need them for the next 3 years.
Okay, well, that's the reason why they signed Dalton to a 1-year contract. You can find a backup quarterback every year if you want to. That's not a problem. But the Panthers aren't in a position where the Panthers aren't in a position where they can use a luxury pick on a career back, on a franchise backup. They're not in that situation as a roster. No, they're not. They're not in a position where they can do a luxury pick. No, not even close. Not even close to being that. This roster, they've made some good moves, but they are far from complete. They still need to add wide receivers, which you need to do outside of just free agency. They still need to draft the guy. I don't know. If Hendon Hooker's sitting there in round 5, sure, take the flyer on it. But I'm sorry, you only have 6 picks in this upcoming draft, and you've already used future draft capital as well to get to the number 1 pick. You don't have your full complement of picks next year or even in 2025. You don't have that. They're not in a position to make a luxury pick. That is
so
a
while you
luxury
have the picks. So
pick.
while you have the picks,
but they
you
don't.
can also use the picks to solidify certain things on your roster. So like you can have Andy Dalton for 1 year and peace. We've got our backup and we've got our star for the next few years, and we're set. We don't have to worry about quarterback anymore. This is a good time to go ahead and do it from the ground up. That's why it's good. And you talked about wide receivers. I already said before, free agency is not over. You can still sign wide receivers. There's wide receivers out there.
Yeah, you can sign them,
still
but
available.
There are guys out there that you're not going to be on.
This is a good wide receiver class.
A lot of people are talking about this. Not even this free agency class, but this wide receiver class as a whole is not that deep. It's not as deep as it has been in years past. They might get a guy like Josh Downs in the second round, which I think would actually be a really good pick at pick 39 for the Carolina Panthers. You might get someone like that, but outside of some of the top guys like Smith and Jigba and Jordan Addison, some of those guys, after you get past that, it's not a very, very deep class. Jalen Hyatt probably going to go in the first round as well. But once you get past that, it's not a deep class. It's not a deep class.
I just said it wasn't a deep class.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm just saying you can get that. You can get whatever you need in free agency. Free agency is not over. So there's DJ Chark who could possibly be there. You have Adam Thielen who could possibly be there. You have Paris Campbell who could possibly be there. I'm not worried about wide receiver. There are other holes to fill. I'm not worried about that. They will find guys.
Those guys you just mentioned are a number 2 or 3 at best wide receiver. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you trade away. That's what happens when you trade away your
exactly.
Number 1.
So you can't be wasting picks on a backup quarterback. That's the thing. They're not in position for.
Are you going to find a number 1 in this draft? You can't go force it. You can't force it.
Yeah, but I'm also not going to force a backup because guess what? Now you just waste Matt Corral. Matt Corral could be that backup
forcing
dude.
A backup.
What do you mean?
You're acting like this isn't that people drafting backups is like this foreign thing. It's not a foreign thing.
It's not a foreign thing.
The Philadelphia Eagles still thought that Carson Wentz was their guy. They drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. Like this is something that happens for many teams. If you find a quarterback that's there that you like, that you feel like this person could be a great person to step in and we could have him on our roster for a while, not just a 1-year rental like a Sam Darnold or a Andy Dalton, guys that have already expected to be starters and may come with certain baggage, you can bring in your own backup and train them from the way that you want them from the ground up and make sure that they're on your roster for 3 to 4 years. I don't see anything that's wrong with that.
Here's my thing is that if you do draft a second quarterback in this year's draft, that means you have only used 5 draft picks on this year on guys who could potentially play for you. That's it. Not 6, 5. Because
the backup could potentially play.
Yeah, if you get hurt, you're not basing off. You only have 6 picks. You're going to use one of those on guys who's not going to play. You're going to use one of your 6 picks on a guy who's not going to play.
Russell. What if the number 1 ends up being the next DeMarcus Russell? But we're not quite sure.
You don't draft. Well, here's the thing: if you're drafting scared like that, then you shouldn't be an executive in the NFL.
Scared.
Yes, it is. If you're like, well, you know what?
You look at it scared. I'm looking at it as insurance. Like, are you driving scared because you have insurance on your car?
No,
I got
different.
insurance on my rental
situation.
car. No. I got insurance on my rental car down here in Orlando. Am I driving scared? No. I just have insurance on this thing because it could cost me a lot because I need this. And so, but the Carolina Panthers, what do they need? They need a quarterback. And you have all these quarterback teachers that are there in that building.
Okay.
You can teach 1, but you could also teach 2. What's better than 1? 2. Why not use it?
Yeah, well,
especially if somebody like Hendon Hooker is there and available.
Here we go. Here's the thing. Where in the second round, third round? I'm not using a second or third round pick. A guy who could start for me, a second or third round pick for a guy who's going to hold a clipboard. I'm just not gonna. I'm not going to do it. Here's the thing, Chris. If you could do that, if I could do that, if I could get Hendon Hooker in the third round and develop him into being a starting quarterback, then why'd you trade for 1? Then why did you trade for the number 1 pick?
I can argue with you right now that you're talking about using a second or third rounder for that could be a potential starter. I can argue with you right now that all of their starting positions outside of wide receiver are already taken. So who else are you going to get there? And you can find wide receiver in free agency. So why not take somebody in the second or third round who could be a good backup? You can find good backups for any other position also in the second or third round. They don't have to be starters.
I'm not drafting just for the 2023 season. You're drafting these guys to be on their team for the next 4+ years.
Take Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Because
they knew he wasn't going to start.
Well, because here's the thing: that's
the logic that you have, and then he ended up being their starting quarterback for the Super Bowl 3 years later.
It's because
you never know what could be there.
Because here's the thing: they drafted him with the anticipation of like, you know what, this guy could develop to be our starter because there were questions about Carson Wentz coming off the injury and having a bad season. People were like, I don't know if Carson Wentz is the guy. So there were questions at quarterback. That's the reason why they drafted him. That is the reason why. You could
also say that I want to take 2 quarterbacks, train them the way I want, and just in case one gets injured, I have another one that's right there ready. And these 2 guys are comparable in their size and their playing style. And we can have that together so that we don't miss a beat just in case this one guy gets injured.
You're
just upset that my argument is good.
No, here's the thing. You're basing off this off of one situation where it did work, and that was in Washington. One situation where it worked. You're looking at the exception.
It worked in Philadelphia
not the norm.
too. Look at Philadelphia.
No, you're talking about drafting 2 guys. No. You're drafting 2 guys, 2 rookies, Chris, in the same draft. It's happened one time and it's worked. That's it.
But you're acting like drafting a backup quarterback isn't something that is ideal, and you can absolutely do that.
You can do that.
When Lamar Jackson wasn't there, Tyler Huntley did an amazing job.
Hey,
other teams would love to have a Tyler Huntley.
He did.
So I'm just saying you can just use this one draft and you can have your own Tyler Huntley right there, ready, waiting in the wings for you.
The Panthers aren't in a position that's a luxury pick that the Carolina Panthers. Yes, it is. Drafting a franchise backup is a luxury pick right now. Something that they cannot afford. Not with 6 picks in this draft. And they have no first rounder next year. No, they still need to fill out that roster. They still need dudes that can help on that roster that can not only play this year, but play, not hold clipboards.
Is free agency still going on?
It is still happening, Chris. But guess what? I much rather have guys that are going to be on rookie contracts for the next 4 years that I can build around. Because guess what? Shaq Thompson's
and the backup
not
quarterback, because you can build around that person too.
That's what I think about that. All right, Chris is going to give us. I know we're throwing things now.